Hi, this is Terry Bay of Terry Bay Needlework Designs. Welcome to my stitch series. If you need to contact me at all, there's my information, my website, and my email. Today I'm going to show you how to do a top winder. Now, a top winder is very, very commonly found in Ukrainian whitework and not too much outside of it. Susan Greening Davis found one in a historical Danish sampler, but it's a fairly specialized little stitch. One of the reasons I like to use it a lot is because it is a surface stitch with loose stitching, so it gives you a whole lot of texture and a whole lot of different look from all of the pulled thread and cut thread and drawn thread surrounding it. It's nice to have some big positive space. Okay, so here we go with the top winder. Top winder can be done in a lot of different forms. One of the most common is a pyramid, and a lot of times you find those pyramids in rows. So in order to save time, I'm not going to do like 4 or 5 rows of pyramids, which is what you normally see. I'm just going to do 2. Otherwise, I would be stitching this for a good half hour. Now, the most common stitch count I've seen in top winders, and don't ask me why, is for the legs of it, which I'm going to do first, to be over 3 fabric threads. Now, in the top winder, we have 2 components to it. You have the legs, which I'm going to stitch first here, and then you have the woven part on top, which they call the wind. Hence, top winder, because you're winding on top of the legs. Okay, so I'm going to count up 3 threads and then go over 3 threads. Well, easier said than done, I guess. Up 3 threads, over 3 threads. Loosen this slightly so I can do my sewing motion. So now I'm down 3 and over 3. And yes, you need to follow this pattern, and I'll show you why when we do the winding. Now, in order to form your pyramid, and you know what a pyramid is, it's got a wider base and narrows to the top. We are going to make 6 legs. So there's 4. 5 and 6. And let me show you the back, and you'll see that in back we have just horizontal stitches because we've just been zigzagging back and forth between the legs from one leg to the next. Now, to form the next pyramid, we're going to count over 6 threads. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep. And I'm going to recount that because if you don't, it won't come out right. Yep. And now I'm going to form another set of 6 legs. Now notice I'm going bottom to top, then top to bottom. Horizontal in the back. It will give your legs, mine aren't too bad, but a lot of times you'll see them just slightly bow toward the stitches in back. And that's fine, and that actually, you'll see why we do that when I get to the winding here. Now these legs, you don't want to be too tight or too loose. You want them to just sit on top of the fabric. That one's a little tight, but without pulling holes at the ends, because these are going to be the foundation for our weaving. 5 and 6, and I take it to the back, and I'll show you the back again, even though right now the back is not very thrilling. And you see here's the larger stitch in the back that was between the two pyramids when we went over 6 threads instead of 3. All right, so here is the base for 2 pyramids. Now here's where it changes. We're going to come up 3 threads over from the last leg. Now we're going to start the top winding. Now the winds only go under the legs. They don't pierce the fabric at all. All right, so we're just weaving and winding it through the legs. And now that I've pulled it, I'm going to kind of scooch it down. You want to leave it loose and let it curve. So I'm going under each leg, and my needle is always pointing in that direction through the leg. Up, come back. And see, since I did that, it pulled my first one tight. That's okay, I can just loosen it again. Now if you'll notice, every other wind is either on the bottom or on the top. And that's not something you have to stress about. It pretty much happens naturally because you start on the bottom and it just alternates from there. All right, so there is the first set of 6 legs woven. Then we're going to count over 3 threads and finally take it to the back. Now, here's where I always have to tell my students in very big, bold letters on my charts, when you get to this point, stop. Because, and don't ask me why it's done this way, but this is the way it's done, so I follow my directions. We're going to complete this pyramid before we go on and wind these legs. So if you've got a row, a lot of times I've got 4, 5, or 6 pyramids, you're going to ignore the 1, 2, 3, 4, however many pyramids left over here and just concentrate on the first one. So now let me show you the back, and you can see my winds made no difference on the back because they only go under the legs. Now to come up, to start the next level of the pyramid, I'm going to move this loop out of my way a little bit, and I come to the front and I'll show you here. There we go. With my needle, sharing the hole with the second leg over, because we're making a pyramid, so we're going to skip the 2 outer legs because it has to get smaller as it goes up. So I'm going to come up, and yeah, you'll be rearranging these loops as you go. They're pretty forgiving. You can straighten them out and move them back. So now I'm going to go up 3 threads, over 3 threads. This is just like the bottom, only we're only doing 4 legs instead of 6 because our pyramid gets smaller as we go up. Go to the back, sharing the hole, and I'll move that out of the way so you can see it. Then come up, sharing the hole with the next leg. Did I do it? Yes, they are. Okay. Up 3, over 3. You don't have to worry about counting as much because you're basically stacking these legs right on top of the ones below it. So if your first row was counted correctly, you're not going to have a problem. All right, so there are the legs for row 2. Now to wind row 2, I'm going to come to the top, sharing the hole with the leg on the end. And I'm going to wind them just like we did the bottom row. Now you will get, let me straighten that out, 2 winds in one spot here. Technically they should lie side by side, and this is when I get to where I'm adjusting my bottom ones to make them do that. So I just wind just like I did the bottom row. And here again, play with them a little bit. Make them play well together. Oh, we don't want that going that way. There we go. It's not a blanket stitch. I don't want the needle going over the thread. And then I go to the back, sharing the hole with the last leg. I'm going to come to the front, sharing the hole with the second leg over. My top row of my pyramid is only going to have 2 legs. Go to the back, sharing the hole with the leg below it. Oops, I'm migrating, sorry. Come up, sharing the hole with the last leg. And wind. And then down, sharing the hole with the last leg of the row below it. And there's one pyramid. Now again, like I say, you can play with these a little bit. Get them to line up a little better, get them to sit a little better. But it is a dimensional stitch, so they are going to, there we go, stand up a little bit. It's not flat. And let's look at the back. So again, the only things you see are where I've gone from row to row. Now to start the next pyramid, I'm going to come all the way down and share the hole with the last wind of the first pyramid. And that makes a big diagonal on back, this one right here. Excuse me for the fuddling around there. And now I'm going to wind this one just like I did the first one. And yes, we want to try and make them look a little, this one, you know, a lot of stitches, I'm like, you really want to have them all exactly the same and be really consistent. This guy's a lot harder to be consistent on just because you're letting the stitch be loose. You're letting the thread curve. It's a lot harder to get it perfectly even. And honestly, I do a lot better when I don't have a camera 3 inches above my fabric. There we are. Oh, will you quit catching on the edge? All right, 3 threads over and down. Okay, I am going to go ahead and stitch the rest of the second pyramid. You can decide whether you want to stay and watch it. If you don't, I will say right away, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Otherwise, I'm just going to stitch happily away on this second pyramid. Again, you do legs and then you do the winds. And wind is just W-I-N-D, just like wind, only pronounced wind, as in winding a clock, which we really don't do much anymore, do we? All right, there's the legs for the first row. I'll tell you right now, one thing I'm not satisfied with is this right here. These guys should have more curve to them. So I would definitely play with my thread, pull that over a little more, pull that over, get some more down here, etc. All righty, start winding row 2. Then build the legs for row 3. Yep. And now winding row 3. Yeah, I think I caught the thread there, but I'm not going to worry about it. If it were on something I was framing, I would, but this is going to get cut out just as soon as I'm done with the video so I can use the fabric for the next videos, so it matters not. And there we go. And if we were doing another top winder, I would come down to here. Oops. Straighten that up a little bit. There you go. Those two aren't perfect. As you can see, my threads are a little wibbly wobbly. I would definitely want a little more give down here. Give it a little more curve. Oh, not too bad. And the backs. Not too impressive. All right, so there is the top winder. Thanks for watching.